A wealthy man attempts to humiliate his former spouse during a wedding, only to uncover the existence of 3 sons he was unaware of before we embark on this narrative journey. Please share in the right comments your location as you tune in. Delight in the tale $6 billion, and yet she still chose to leave James. Mitchell's voice pierced the stillness of his penthouse office. Forbes magazine, spade open on his desk, his visage gracing the cover, his empire stretching across San Francisco skyline through expansive floor-to-ceiling windows. He traced the word billionaire beneath his photo, recalling Sarah's words about how wealth could never purchase true happiness. The intercom emitted a sharp crackle. Your stylist has arrived with options for your wedding suit. Submit them now. James adjusted his watch, catching a glimpse of himself in the glass at 45. He hardly recognized the man. In the mirror, graying temples, hardened eyes, and a smile that had long since faded since Sarah left 6 years prior. The country Sarah. Door swung open, revealing not the stylist, but Victoria Chase, his supermodel fiancée, who confidently strode in and tossed a cream envelope onto his desk. Sweetheart, could you explain why your former spouse is included in our wedding guest list? James grasped the site invitation. Sarah's name elegantly inscribed in shimmering golden calligraphy. Revenge is most satisfying when showcased, placed before an audience of 500 and captured by a team of fashion photographers. Are you trying to embarrass her? Victoria's crimson lips formed a captivating smile that's delightfully mischievous. She walked away. When my technological dream was merely a fledgling venture in my garage, James rose from his seat and made his way to the window. I claimed I would never grasp what truly holds significance in life. Now I have a net worth of $8 billion, and I'm on the verge of marrying the most influencer in Silicon Valley, and she's the a sly grin continuing to share knowledge at that quaint elementary school. Then let's demonstrate precisely what she has forfeited. Victoria embraced him tightly. Let her witness my transformation into the new Mrs. Mitchell. James retrieved his phone, his thumb poised above Sarah's contact. The number he had never erased, I believe. I will hand this invitation over myself. It's time to remind her that leaving was her greatest error. His finger pressed the dial, and for the first time in 6 years, Sarah's voice resonated in his ear. Greetings, Sarah. It's time for a conversation. If only he understood that vengeance, much like a script, rarely executes as intended, and his meticulously crafted humiliation was on the verge of backfiring spectacularly, delivering 3 revelations that would forever alter the fabric of his existence. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. The suburban neighborhood appeared just as James recalled it. Sarah's unassuming 2-story home was distinguished by its vibrant blue door and abundant flower boxes, brimming with blooms. That's just her a usual way. He silenced the engine of his Tesla and lingered there. The wedding invitation searing into the fabric of his Armani jacket. A child's bicycle rested on its side in the front yard. It struck him as odd. Sarah had never brought up the subject of wanting children. The sound of the doorbell remained the same. James adjusted his tie, rehearsed his smirk, and bided his time. Are you on your way? From within, Sarah's voice resonated. Then the door swung open, and there she stood, exuding an infuriatingly perfect charm. Her hair had been trimmed, yet her eyes retained the definite fore of life, same inviting warmth that he had once found utter captivating. Is that you, James? She blinked, a look of genuine surprise crossing her face. What do you represent? Greetings, Sarah. He retrieved the cream-hued envelope. Is it a special delivery? She accepted it, a look of bewilderment evident on her face. You traveled all this distance to present me? With her voice faded softly as she perused the invitation. In just 3 weeks. You're tying the knot. He couldn't resist mentioning to Victoria Chase she may be familiar to you from her social media presence, boasting 3 million followers. Sarah's expression fell short of the gratification he had anticipated. Instead, she gazed with a hint of worry. Well done, she remarked thoughtfully. What's the reason for my invitation? Isn't it possible for an old friend? A sudden crash echoed from within the house, quickly accompanied by the sound of children's laughter. Sarah's head snapped. Two to the side, young males. What did I mention regarding playing ball indoors? Apologies, mother. A multitude of voices replied in unison. Young men are you? Referring to the plural form, James attempted to glimpse beyond her into the house, yet Sarah moved, obstructing his sight. Thank you for the invitation, she stated with conviction. I will consider it. Who might that be? He waved his hand. In flies vlakt, the direction of the sound, my sons. Her response was brief. Children are you? Referring to multiple instances. Sarak, grip on the door intensified. It was a pleasure to see you, James Warmest. Congratulations once more on your engagement. Mother Tommy has taken possession of my controller. A faint voice emerged from within. Absolutely not. Daniel is not being truthful, both of you. Take a break, a third voice chimed in. James felt a whirlwind of thoughts swirling in his mind. Three distinct voices, three unique voices of boys. I be to do in Estedin. Need to leave, Sarah said hurriedly. Wishing you all the best for the wedding. The door slammed shut before he had a chance to fully grasp what had just been. Vivia said, three young lads. What? Is it about? And the sound of their voices, the significance of their names once inside. His car. James retrieved his phone and passed and calculated the figures. It has been 6 years since Sarah departed. When had she been pregnant? No, he muttered. She might have shared it with him yet, as he drove. Often unsettling uncertainty trailed behind him. Sarah's expression had conveyed more than mere concern as she perused his invitation. She appeared to be filled with fear. James Mitchell had not constructed a tech empire by disregarding his intuition. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing. Section 3. The revelation emerges. Is Mommy not here anymore? Michael glanced around the corner while Sarah rested against the shut door. She nodded, gripping the invitation with such intensity that it wrinkled in her hand. Return to your studies, dear. Yet all three boys had already gathered in the hallway, their matching blue eyes mirroring his own, brimming with curiosity. Who was that individual? Thomas inquired. Just a figure from my past. Sarah navigated her way through. Daniel, weren't you supposed to be preparing for that math test? Could that have been our father Daniel? Ever the time astute observer truly captured the essence of the matter. Sarah settled onto the stairs, her sons quickly gathering around her like vigilant guardians. 6 years of meticulous planning, of crafting their intimate universe jeopardized by a single reckless visit. Indeed, she ultimately confessed. That was your dad. Is he aware of our existence? Michael's voice was barely a whisper. Not yet. Sarah drew them in tightly, but he could uncover the truth before long. Her phone vibrated. A message from her sister. Claire, situ, reach out to me. Sarah was already aware of the matter at hand. Without needing to make a call, Claire was employed in the PR department at Tech Vision. The word spread quickly. Gentlemen, it's time to begin your homework. I must place a call in her cozy home office filled with the scattered papers of her 4th grade students. Sarah picked up the phone to call CLA. Before Claire could respond, Sarah interjected, he came to my bridesing house, accompanying the wedding invitation. I think's wedding invitation. Understand he has been openly sharing his intentions to bring you down. Throughout the office, Claire hesitated. Sarah, it's essential that you share this with him. I understand, Sarah observed from the window as her son played with a soccer ball in the backyard. I'm just saying they seem happy, Claire. We are filled with joy. James is tying the knot. Why make things more complex at this moment? He invited you to his wedding just to outshine you, and then you arrive with 3 mini Emmys in tow. Who claims? I'm leaving. Sarah Thompson, you've been nurturing those boys on your own for 6 years, justifying their father's absence, juggling 2 jobs to provide them with everything they need. And now he seeks to demonstrate just how much better he is without you, Sarah observed as Thomas assisted Daniel to his feet after a tumble while Michael hurried over a band-aid in hand from his pocket, ever ready, just as she instilled in them. Indeed, she acknowledged at last, however, I refuse to allow him to cause them any harm. Absolutely not, but perhaps Claire pondered, perhaps they have a right to know their father. Perhaps he is entitled to uncover those truths. Once she ended the call, Sarah noticed the boys had left their soccer game behind and were gathered around her, Laptop mother Michael shouted. Could this be him who is James Mitchell, the CEO of Tech Vision displayed? On the screen was an article from Forbes highlighting Silicon Valley's most sought-after bachelor who is on the verge of tying the knot. Sarah gazed at her sons, noting their father's hair, his eyes, and his resolute chin, and resolved to take action. Prepare your suits, gentlemen. We are attending a wedding. The invitation rested invitingly on her desk. James Mitchell and Victoria Chase cordially invite you to join them, Sarah permitted. A subtle smile to grace her lips. Things were completely unaware of the nature of of the company that was approaching later. That night, once the boys had drifted off to sleep, Sarah found herself in her cozy study gazing at 3 identical birth certificates. James's name was notably missing, a decision made in a hospital room 6 years prior, when he failed to respond to her calls regarding her early labor. His assistant explained that he had been in a board meeting. No force he could break his focus. She retrieved her phone, browsing through images, their initial strides, the first utterances. Inaugural day at school, Michael guiding his siblings in all endeavors, Thomas's imaginative whirlwind, Daniel's serene insight, years of moments that had slipped by. James unnoticed. The wedding invitation shimmered in the moonlight, its gold lettering radiating elegance. Today, Sarah recalled James's expression, successful, refined, and distant, so unlike the man who had once spent 3 sleepless nights coding their initial project side by side, who had kissed her in the rain after their first investor meeting, who had vowed to give her everything yet overlooked her place in it all. Her phone vibrated once more. CLA, sharing wedding specifics, seating arrangements, and guest lists. The meticulously crafted revenge that James had envisioned was on the brink of transforming into his most profound revelation. Sarah gazed at a recent photo of the boys, all 3 beaming after their victory at the school science fair. It's time to meet your father, she murmured softly. Whether you're prepared or not, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Mom Michael's taking over. The mirror. Again, Thomas called out from the hallway. I am not. It was Daniel, who dedicated 20 minutes to perfecting his hair amid the Dottie's note. Morning chaos. Sarah expertly balanced 3 identical lunchboxes, showcasing her skill in multitasking. Gentlemen, the bus will arrive in 10 minutes. The Plies bossed triplets raced down the stairs in their crisp school uniforms, their backpacks jostling with each hurried step. By the age of 10, they were already revealing unique personalities, even though they looked alike. Michael, the older by a mere 4 minutes, adjusted his brother's ties with a careful eye. Tommy, yours is ask. You quit pestering us, Thomas muttered, yet he allowed Michael to take care of it regardless. Daniel, the youngest, found himself lost within the pages of a book. Did you realize that when he began, Dad's company had no value at all? Sarah almost let the lunches slip from her grasp. Where did you come across that information? The web. Daniel raised his tablet high. He created it entirely on his own, just as you consistently encourage us to approach our projects. Ever since James's visit 3 days prior, the boys had developed an intense fascination with their father. Sarah discovered them endlessly, searching for him online, engrossed in his TED Talks, and delving into his insights on technology. Mother Michael inquired with caution, why didn't you mention our relationship to him? Sarah placed the lunches on the table. It's intricate. Darling, we not children anymore, Thomas insisted. We can manage complexity. She gazed at their sincere expressions, reminiscent of their father's when he tackled a particularly challenging coding conundrum. Your father dedicated a lot of his attention to his business. During our time together, he toiled through 18-hour days, sacrificing holidays and birthdays. However, Daniel noted that he is now successful. Achievement holds varied meanings for each individual. Sarah inspected their backpacks. I longed for a family. His ambition was to build an empire, and now he's tying the knot, Michael remarked softly to a person by the name of Victoria Chase. Thomas added, she has a captivating smile. Daniel remarked. Sarah found herself unable to contain her laughter. Have you lads been keeping an eye on your father's fiancée? They possessed the elegance of remorse. We I was simply curious, Michael defended. About our other family. The sound of the school bus honked outside. Is she? Perpetually, this theatrical Thomas called out to his brothers, his voice carrying so that all could hear. Daniel chuckled softly, hidden behind the pages of his book. Even Sarah found it hard to hold back a grin. Victoria's cheeks flushed with a deep crimson hue. The raid requires some time to reflect. She pivoted sharply and exited, almost bumping into it. Patricia Jong, the counsel for Tech Vision, who was hurrying in with a pile of documents. James, it's essential that we have a conversation about succession, planning, trust funds, and any potential concerns from shareholders. Everyone out, James commanded, his authoritative tone slicing through the turmoil. All but the sturdy boys and Sarah. The room emptied with a sense of hesitation. Quiet enveloped the room once more as James observed his sons with unguarded attention. Michael, the guardian figure; Thomas, the daring soul; Daniel, the silent watcher. 6 years of memories he would never experience. He finally announced that the wedding is in 2 weeks. The boys responded in unison. I must work through this. Sarah rose to her feet. Absolutely. Young men, bid farewell to your father. That the words struck him with the force of a tangible impact. Michael took the initiative, reaching out his hand in a formal gesture. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Thomas remarked casually on the brilliance of your coding architecture for Tech Vision's main platform. Daniel merely nodded, gripping his book more firmly as they exited. James shouted after them, hold on, what do you like the most? All things I desire to uncover, all knowledge. Sarah hesitated at the ready threshold. How about stopping by tomorrow? We can have a meaningful conversation. Every one of us. James nodded, his voice caught in his throat. Once they departed, he remained solitary in the room, gazing at his own reflection in the window. 3 young lads, 3 exceptional, radiant boys who had matured in his absence, as he had been too consumed by his empire to recognize what he was. Sacrificing his phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Messages poured in. Victoria, wine requires some distance. Tom, the board meeting is scheduled for 8 a.m. Managing a crisis. Claire, prominent technology publications are covering the story. Require a declaration. Patricia prepared initial trust documents. A prompt evaluation is required. Yet there was one that caused his hands to tremble. Sarah, the boys are curious if you'd be interested in checking out their science and fair projects tomorrow. For the very first time, James Mitchell found himself without a plan, a strategy, or a clear direction ahead, and somehow that filled him with less dread than the idea of losing his sons once more. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. They're asleep, Sarah remarked, stepping onto the back porch to join James. A week had gone by since the rehearsal dinner. They're incredible, James murmured, still reflecting on the evening he had enjoyed playing board game with his sons. Michael triumphed over me. In chess he outmaneuvers all his opponents. In chess, Thomas gained unauthorized access to my phone. He engages in that action, and Daniel still hasn't set aside that quantum physics, the book I gave him. Sarah beamed with delight. Without a doubt, those are your sons. James glanced in her direction. Why was I not informed? The true motivation. Sarah lingered in silence, her gaze fixed on the flickering fireflies dancing in her quaint garden. Do you recall the week prior to my departure? I was finalizing the funding series. I attempted to express that I wasn't feeling my best. Thrice you participated in conference calls. Every time, James recalled her pale face framed in his office doorway as he dismissed her with a wave while engaging with the investors. The morning I discovered I was expecting, you were preparing for that important presentation. Sarah's voice remained unwavering. You stated, and I quote, nothing can divert my attention today. The trajectory of technological innovation hinges on this. Sarah with a observed you that morning as you honed your pitch. Tech Vision is my pride and joy. You kept saying, the Mark I leave behind. She pivoted to confront him. I have come to a decision. Is it your little one or ours that seems unjust? Absolutely not. Neither for you nor for of them. Yet I found myself unwell, filled with fear, and witnessing my husband prioritize his work over our relationship day after day. James sank into his chair, a heavy weight of fatigue settling over him. I would have transformed. Could you? Sarah faced a challenge. Speak truthfully, James. If I had shared that with you back then, how would you have reacted? He reflected on his past, on the younger version of himself fixated on achievement, resolute in his quest to defy all doubters. I'm uncertain. I certainly do. You would have thrown money at the issue established. Trust funds, engaged, nannies arranged, periodic visits amid board meetings. Sarah's voice wavered just a bit. What they truly required was a caregiver, not a financial strategist. What comes next? At this moment, why not pose the question to them? Sarah rose to her feet. Just so. You know they're not asleep. They might be eavesdropping just outside the door. At this very moment, 3 unmistakable thumps followed by the sound of scrambling solidified her suspicion. James found himself unable to contain his laughter. Without a doubt those are my sons indeed, Sarah responded gently. Indeed they are, just as James was about to reply. His phone vibrated. Victoria's name illuminated the display. Sarah observed. That should be taken, it appears. You have some choices ahead of you. He remained on the porch, fixated on his plice. The phone lost in contemplation of what he would leave behind, the one he created, and the one he almost let slip away. Within the hushed voices of the boys floated through the air. Was he fond of the chess match? Did you catch the expression on his face when I revealed the hack to him? Do you believe he will assist me in grasping quantum entanglement? James muted his phone, choosing not to respond for the first time in his existence. Victoria Chase found the patience to endure. The voices of his sons floated in through the open window, filled with talk of tomorrow's plans, their aspirations and their wonder about him. Every word seemed like a precious offering he longed for, yet felt unworthy to receive. The board could afford to be patient. The investors had the option to be patient. The empire was not in a rush at this moment. James Mitchell found himself with 3 lifetimes worth of experiences to reconcile. Remember to give a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, sir. The board meeting begins in 10 minutes. James's assistant conveyed over the phone. Discontinue it, however, sir. The quarterly projections. Tom is more than capable of managing it. I'm treating my boys to lunch. James concluded the call, his gaze fixed on the entrance of the Pressy elementary school. Through the windshield of his Tesla, through 3 identical figures bounded down the steps, their faces brightening at the sight of his owned car. Firearm, Thomas shouted. Absolutely not, Michael exclaimed. I am the eldest by a mere 4 minutes. Daniel quietly settled into the back seat, his attention fully absorbed in a book. Everyone gets a turn, James declared, still in awe of how effortless this seemed after merely 2 weeks. Michael today, Thomas on the morrow, Daniel thereafter. They echoed in agreement at the burger joint they had selected. James observed as they devoured their meals, bombarding him with questions. Is it true that you wrote your first program at the age of 8? Thomas inquired, his cheek stuffed with fries. 7. Indeed, a straightforward game. Michael mentioned that Mom said you met at a tech conference. James grinned at the recollection she utterly dismantled. My presentation, are you still planning to tie the knot? Daniel's soft inquiry lingered in the atmosphere. James placed his burger on the table. Victoria and I are taking some time apart due to our situation. Michael's voice was barely a whisper. No, James stated with conviction, as I must determine my priorities. Thomas noted that this was the reason for their previous separation, as his mother had said. His phone vibrated, signaling that the board meeting was spiraling into chaos. Another stir of Victoria seeking clarity. A third of the shareholders are threatening to withdraw their investments. James hushed everyone around at him upon returning to the office. Patricia confronted him. The investors are in a state of frenzy. The arrival of your son transforms the entire landscape, influencing succession strategies and the allocation of shares. Well, James interjected, prepare the documents, distribute my shares evenly among them. That accounts for 40% of Tech Vision. Tom emerged unexpectedly, voicing his objections. Will the board, not the board, is left with no options. James's voice was unyielding. And while you're at it, establish trust funds, top-notch institutions limitless possibilities in the bustling halls of public school. Sarah's voice captured everyone's attention. She lingered in the threshold of his office, her arms folded defiantly. They will remain there, Sarah. I can provide those what they require is a Father James, not a financial institution. That night, isolated in his penthouse, James gazed into his reflection. The billionaire CEO glanced over his shoulder, exuding success and power, yet feeling utterly adrift, his phone illuminated with notifications. Victoria, we must discuss our relationship. Attention, there will be an emergency. Meeting of the board tomorrow, Tom. The stock has decreased by 20%. Sarah, the engine vocalize, so guys are wondering if you'll be attending Daniel's science presentation. Former James would have focused on managing the fallout market values and the legacy he created as he crafted his reply to Sarah, expressing his eagerness. James Mitchell came to the realization that he had transformed into someone entirely different behind him. The city skyline sparkled, the logo of Tech Vision, casting a glow across the night. He created that, giving up everything for its sake. It was time to create a new. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Mr. Mitchell, your prompt attention to these documents is necessary. James's attorney scattered documents across his home office desk. James glanced over the first page. Financial support for your sons. Typical protocol in affluent circumstances. Separate trusts have been established for each boy, available to them at the age of 25. Set it to 21. James gazed at the framed photo he had placed on his desk. The young lads at their science exhibition. They accountable children. The attorney carefully repositioned his spectacles. Given the amount I have confidence in them. James observed the way Michael's protective spirit shone through in the photo, noted Thomas's creative insights and appreciated Daniel's subtle yet profound wisdom. They surpassed my abilities as that age. Additional papers emerged concerning the Merifation company shares divided evenly among them. Mr. Mitchell, Victoria's voice pierced the air. She lingered in the doorway, poised, yet filled with fury. Indeed, it is true. Are you really letting go of your legacy? The attorney collected his documents. I will ensure these are processed without delay. Once she was by herself, Victoria, he reached for one of the trust documents. Just like that, ions in assets. They are my kids. They are unfamiliar faces, connected by the same genetic thread. She flung the paper aside. I received a call from the board. Do they believe your fellow experiencing a kind of crisis? James approached his window, observing the Tech Vision logo light up the skyline. Is it because I'm embracing fatherhood? Are you tearing down all that you have created? Victoria's poise shattered the James, and the first was familiar with wood. Never ever the James you once knew was devoid of substance. He pivoted to meet her gaze. The James you knew gauged his value through stock prices and acquisition deals. What comes next? Currently, I assess it through science, projects and soccer matches. In Michael's chess strategies, Thomas's coding, brilliance, and Daniel's curiosity about the universe. The device vibrated with a stick's sudden alert. Sarah shared a video of the boys rehearsing their science presentation. Victoria observed him intently. Have you truly transformed? I trust it will be for the best. She removed her engagement ring and set it down on his desk. Those boys had better prove their worth. Once she departed, James reached out to Sarah. Is the boy still awake? Attempting to manipulate the Blythe academic evaluation process. Informed Thomas that it lacks ethical integrity. Sarah chuckled softly. Convey the message directly to him. Are you still planning to join us for dinner? James gazed at his interfere set with a live tokens of them, desk filled with trust documents, company papers and decisions regarding wealth, influence and legacy. Everything was inconsequential. I wouldn't dream of missing it. As the night wore on, James observed his sons bickering over a cating conundrum, and a realization dawned on him. The empire he had constructed, the billions he had amassed, they were merely figures displayed on a monitor. Ever this, three boys who shared his passion for innovation and his drive for excellence, yet somehow possessed Sarah's heart and wisdom. This was his true legacy. Once more his phone vibrated, and with a notification with the board looming over potential consequences. Investors are retreating and stock prices are in freef. fall, James muted it, with a glance away. Certain decisions unfolded naturally. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing in the figures speak for themselves. James Tom, accompanied by his CFO, pushed the quarterly report across the conference table. Our market value has declined by 15% since the news of your personal situation emerged. 8 executives stood by, anticipating his reply, expressions varying from worry to aggression. James examined the document, keenly sensing the underlying tension. Individual circumstances. Jay reiterated. Are you referring to my kids? Patricia from legal interjected, noting that the timing is quite unfortunate. My sons are not victims of bad timing. James's voice was unyielding. What's the next topic? Tom maintained that there was no subsequent point. This is the crux of the matter. In the past 2 months there have been 6 important meetings that you did not attend. The media is crafting narratives surrounding the turbulence in leadership. Are investors feeling anxious? So should they feel anxious. James rose to his feet. The meeting is now concluded. We haven't completed this yet, Patricia insisted. Indeed, we are. A parent-teacher conference is scheduled for 3. The boardroom burst into chaos. James had just reached the midpoint to the door when Tom's voice rang out, halting him in his tracks. The board is contemplating a vote of no confidence. James halted and turned slowly. You created this company, Tom went on, but recently it appears you're more focused on constructing something different, a household, a diversion. James returned to the table, resting both hands on its gleaming surface. Allow me to clarify. The importance of a tech vision resonates deeply with me. However, if you compel me to decide between my role here and my children, the result will not be to your liking. Are you implying something menacing? Is it a commitment? James adjusted his posture. I hold the majority of the shares. With a single phone call, I can dismantle this board. Patricia fidgeted, with her papers, a hint of anxiety in her demeanor that would utterly collapse the stock. So please don't put me in a position to decide. Inside his vehicle, James relaxed his tie and let out a deep breath. His phone displayed 3 missed calls from investors, 2 from the PR team and 1 from Sarah. He returned. Sarah, call. How did the meeting turn out? Just about what I anticipated. How are the lads eager to reveal their grades? Even Daniel achieved an A and P. James smiled, sensing the tension in the boardroom begin to dissipate. Inform them that I am en route. Upon arriving at Sarah's house, he was met with a whirlwind of disorder. Michael delved into the intricacies of a complex chess strategy, while Thomas focused intently on debugging code, and Daniel immersed himself in the fascinating world of quantum mechanics. Father Thomas reached out. Could you assist me in resolving this loop issue? Once he elucidated the dual nature of photons as both particles and waves, Daniel chimed in. Upon witnessing my new chess opening, Michael responded with a counter move. James was engulfed by a wave of emotions, and it was a beautiful experience once more. His phone vibrated with a notification. A fresh turmoil has emerged at Tech Vision. Yet another board member seeking the spotlight. James switched it off. Show me the code, he instructed Thomas. Michael and Daniel huddled close, their foreheads leaning in over the laptop. This, James understood, was the true essence of success. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Mr. Mitchell, regarding the shares you passed on to your sons, the board has decided to implement a freeze on them. Patricia shared the news in James's office. A faster space where family photos had come to outshine the business awards. What are the reasons? Cognitive capability. James's laughter was chilling. Do they really believe that being a father renders me incapable? Is it really wise to give 310-year-olds 40% of a tech giant's show? That seems like a questionable decision. His phone vibrated. Sarah, James Daniels is unwell. Vision heat. Is he inquiring about you? The former James would have dispatched his chauffeur with the finest physician that wealth could procure. The new James had already begun to put on his coat. This meeting isn't over, Patricia insisted. Indeed, it is. In the quiet of Sarah's home, Daniel rested in bed, his complexion strikingly pale. Michael and Thomas lingered with a sense of unease, Father. Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. Could you provide an amender? Explanation of quantum entanglement at this moment I'm struggling. 2. Concentrate on my book. James settled onto the bed, pulling his son in tightly. Imagine it as the three of you, regardless of the distance between them. Particles remain intertwined, just like how Michael has an uncanny ability to sense when Thomas is in a bind, or how Daniel completes our thoughts. Thomas remarked, ascending precisely. James touched Daniel's forehead, which was scalding to the touch. It's referred to as eerie influence across space, just like how Mom always knew you'd show up, Michael said softly. Sarah arrived with the medicine in hand. 102. 3. We need to take him to the hospital. I will reach out to my Sarah interjected. No private hospitals there, and will be no preferential treatment. They must engage with reality. James in the emergency room. They sat in anticipation, much like any other family would. Daniel rested peacefully against James's chest, while Michael and Thomas engaged in soft, quiet games on either side. His phone erupted with a flurry of messages. Board convening for an urgent session. The stock continues to decline. Victoria discussing his struggles in interviews. James hushed the crowd, honing in on Daniel. Breath, you don't have to stay, Sarah said gently. I'm aware that there's a situation unfolding at work. James gazed at his slumbering son, observing Thomas and Michael struggling against sleep to remain near their brother. Find myself precisely in the right place. The physician identified a serious case of influenza, recommending ample rest and hydration as they departed the hospital. The first light of dawn illuminating San Francisco. James came to a realization. In his previous existence, he had spent numerous sleepless nights chasing technological dreams, yet here he is, vigilantly tending to his ailing child, grappling with a sense of powerlessness, while simultaneously recognizing his five, everything Amante's, and $1,000 vital role. That night was the most challenging and significant of his existence. Father Daniel muttered softly, while James lifted him into the car. Are quarks truly fundamental particles? James wore a weary smile. We delve into quantum chromodynamics once you're feeling better, I promise. Are you sure about that? His phone vibrated one final time. The board's ultimate alert. James removed it, without giving it a glance. Certain conflicts lacked justification indeed. Somewhere, remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. James confided in Sarah over coffee, saying they're trying to push me out. 3 weeks had elapsed since Daniel's time in the bat hospital. The committee, the stakeholders, and even long-time acquaintances. Is it because you prioritize your sons over the business? Because I prefer anything over the organization, James observed from the kitchen window, as the boys constructed what they insisted was a quantum computer in the backyard. They believe I'm experiencing a crisis. What about you? A potential breakthrough? Perhaps, he chuckled as Thomas inadvertently doused Michael with the garden hose, sparking an unexpected water. Battle clarity has never been so profound. His phone rang, and Tom's chin lifted once more. James chose not to answer the call. You can't escape them indefinitely, Sarah said softly. Look at me, Dad, Daniel shouted from the yard. Thomas added that we require your assistance with the quantum entanglement simulation and the neural network. Mom mentioned that you agreed to share your knowledge about venture capital with us. Michael brought it to his attention. James rose to his feet, yet Sarah grasped his arm firmly. They have concerns about the possibility of losing you once more. Could you clarify what you mean? Whenever your phone rings, they believe you'll opt for the company as it was previously. Just as James was about to reply, Patricia and Tom emerged at Sarah's back door. James, this has gone on long enough, Tom began. Patricia emphasized that it's not acceptable to simply disappear from the entire board. Indeed, I am capable of that. James went to be with his sons. I have a lot on my plate right now. The Comsifer shareholders are demanding your resignation. Then allow them to do so. Your legacy resides in this very moment. James motioned towards his sons, who were all observing the confrontation with matching looks of worry. 3 exceptional boys who merit a father far more than Tech Vision merits a CEO. Are you truly prepared to sacrifice all that you've created Tom insisted. James observed Michael's defensive posture, Thomas's challenging stare, and Daniel's shrewd expression. I have nothing to lose. I am acquiring all that I desire without you. The company is destined for failure, Patricia cautioned. James smiled, shaking his head. It definitely won't, as my sons just demonstrated the way to save it all. Eyes were on James as he retrieved his phone, at last responding to one of Tom's countless calls. Arrange an urgent board meeting in the early hours of tomorrow. I have an idea to share. Each day Michael proclaimed that they would not surrender. There is always a way forward, Thomas asserted. Daniel highlighted that statistics can be misleading. James penned his thoughts during the long, restless nights when discomfort refused to let him sleep. Do you recall the day we constructed that volcano? Is this your inaugural robotics competition text? Do you remember that moment when you attempted to breach my phone security? Every memory is a treasure, every instant immortalized on the page. He made quick sketches in the Kutinstom, margins, illustrations depicting chess maneuvers, crafting algorithms for coding, logical demonstrations in mathematics, charts leading to concealed truths he had unearthed only after the moment had passed. Above all, he inscribed in every book, keep in mind that true success isn't quantified by money or accomplishments, is quantified in instances such as this. The volumes of the journals expanded in size. His hands became freer, yet the words flowed endlessly, meant for his sons, their future, and all the dialogues that would remain unspoken. His phone vibrated with notifications from physicians, experts, and board members. He dismissed them all. Time had become his most valuable asset, and he was acutely aware of how to allocate it wisely. Father Michael glanced inside. We are in the process of constructing a quantum neural network. Looking to lend a hand, James shut the journals, a smile breaking through his tepian fatigue. Without fail, some legacies couldn't be penned, they had to be experienced. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing our You prepared for this? Sarah offered to assist James in straightening his tie. He acknowledged with a slight nod, preserving his strength. 3 months had elapsed since the diagnosis. Today marked Michael's second foray into the world of robotics competition. Their team had reached the finals. Sarah continued, saying that the boys were already there. Is Michael feeling anxious? You really shouldn't be. James managed to smile. He is exceptionally talented. The atmosphere in the school gymnasium was electric, with anti-ipation, James quickly noticed, and his sons, 3 golden-haired figures, huddled together, focused intently on fine-tuning a robot. Father, they hurried to him, enveloping him in a gentle embrace. They had become increasingly vigilant since his previous hospital visit. How is our champion faring? James inquired of Michael. The servo motors acting up, Thomas reported, cutting off Michael before he could respond. Text, the calculations are flawless, Daniel remarked. James examined the intricate design of their robot. Reveal it to me. They collaborated closely, their brows furrowed over circuits and code as they had in the past. James's hands trembled excessively, yet his mind remained keen and alert. He gestured in that direction. The connection seems to be loose, Thomas. Resolve the issue swiftly. The machine stirred into action with a soft hum. 2 minutes until we begin, the announcer declared. Mother Michael wore a look of concern. Is it possible for Dad to remain until the conclusion? Sarah cast a fleeting look at James. Both were aware that he ought to be taking a break. James proclaimed that not even wild horses could pull him away. The rivalry was intense. Michael's team progressed through each round with determination. James observed his son navigate life with assurance, embrace challenges with poise, and acknowledge achievements with modesty. In the concluding round, their robot executed its tasks with impeccable precision. As Michael's team emerged victorious, James let out the loudest cheer, his enthusiasm shining through despite his frailties. We accomplished it. Michael dashed toward his parents, clutching the trophy tightly. We accomplished it, Dad. You've accomplished it, James said gently. Each and every one of you. Later at home, James observed his son revving in joy. Sarah locked eyes with him, grasping the meaning behind his look without a hint of hesitation, she murmured. Only one he. Observed the boys sharing laughter. Lacking additional time you've provided. Them with all the essentials. James, and reflected on the journals awaiting him. At home, filled with lessons, memories, and the love that had been poured onto those pages, nearly everything, he murmured. Observing his sons, Michael's commanding presence, Thomas's creative spark, Daniel's insightful perspective, James realized that Sarah's words held truth. They would be fine. They represented his legacy, his crowning achievement, his flawless creation. Once the boys had drifted off to sleep that night, James took the time to contribute to their journals. Today, I observed you guiding your team to triumph, Michael, not by means of coercion or intimidation, but by fostering comprehension and igniting motivation. You possess a remarkable talent, my boy, a unique skill for inspiring greatness in those around you. Utilize it with care. For Thomas, your approach to the servo motor issue today was exceptional. What truly stood out was your ability to take a step back and allow your brother to take the spotlight. Genuine innovation transcends mere technology. It involves creating opportunities for others to thrive. For Daniel, I noticed you mentally plotting trajectories throughout the competition, offering silent yet vital support to your brothers. It's clear that often the most significant impacts are those that go unnoticed. Always cherish that insight. His hands trembled more intensely now, the script almost unreadable, yet he needed to complete it. Today was more than merely securing a victory in a contest for all three of you. It was all about collaboration, uplifting one another, and rejoicing as a brothers united family. Hold on to this sensation. It holds greater value than any accolade or market figure. I will miss your graduations, your first dates, and your future victories, but I'll be in the stories you create, the challenges you overcome, the ways you support one another. For years I dedicated myself to crafting a tech vision, believing it would define my legacy. I acknowledge my mistake. Your brilliance, your kindness, and the bond you share are the essence of my true legacy. With all my love, Dad. His phone buzzed. Yet another clinical trial, promising empty optimism. James chose to overlook it from his vantage point by the window. He observed his sons in their treehouse, eagerly scheming their next endeavor. Their voices floated softly through the air upon modifying the AI algorithm with principles of quantum entanglement and optimizing the neural network. Jay smiled. They were his finest creation, operating flawlessly, self-correcting, evolving with each passing day. Certain programs are destined to endure beyond the vision of their originator. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Sarah found herself in the well-known backyard, observing 3 1-5-year-old boys clustered around their laptops. The treehouse that James began constructing 5 years prior was now complete, functioning as their coding headquarters. Mother Thomas shouted from above, "We've discovered yet another." She ascended with caution, bending low to pass beneath the sign that read Mitchell Brothers Tech Lab. Within the space, 3 matching smiles welcomed her. Michael gestured toward his screen concealed within Dad's vintage coating. It was yet another Easter egg, one among the many that James had concealed within the code of tech vision prior to his passing. Small notes, riddles, and insights for his sons to uncover. To my sons, I may not witness the men you are destined to become, but I have entrusted you with the most important formula of all. Embrace love with all your heart. Embrace audacity. Invest your whole heart. Maintain your connections. Everything else is merely a matter of structure. With all my love. Dead. Sarah discovered them later in the treehouse, now transformed into their secluded haven for contemplation. A new project was in the works. Michael elaborated on a method to assist other families, building on the lessons imparted by Dad. Thomas contributed regarding the essence of what truly counts. Daniel concluded through the treehouse window. The Tech Vision logo illuminated the night sky above them, yet now it carried a new significance, beyond mere technology, more than mere sight, yet affection woven into each pixel. Family woven into every line. Legacy flows in flawless harmony, exactly as James had designed it. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. 10 years have passed since James left us at the age of 25, the St. Regis Hotel. Ballroom was bustling once more, yet this occasion was marked by a different kind of festivity. The Mitchell brothers were honored with the James Mitchell Innovation Award, a recognition established not for advancements in technology, but for organizations that prioritize family values. 15 years ago, Michael addressed the crowd, and in that moment a man stood in this room and witnessed the transformation of his entire world. He arrived with the intent to shame someone, Thomas elaborated, yet unexpectedly discovered redemption. Daniel finished. Sarah sat in the front row, her 3 journals resting in her lap. Her sons had blossomed into extraordinary individuals. Michael, the Chief Executive Officer of Tech Vision's Human Development Division. Thomas, Chief Innovation Officer, transforming the landscape of ethical AI. Daniel, leader in quantum research, pushing the limits of science. However, their most significant accomplishments were not in their careers. The initial corporate policies of their family revolutionized Silicon Valley. The James Mitchell Foundation has enlightened countless individuals. Their advancements in quantum computing were applied for healing purposes rather than for financial gain. Michael continued, sharing a lesson our father imparted that was truly profound. Success cannot be quantified by stock prices, Thomas remarked, yet in the lives we influence. Daniel concluded their latest project. The Mitchell Code has been revealed, not merely a computer program, but rather a way of thinking. Prioritize family above all else. Creativity benefits society. Achievement demands passion. Heritage is affection in the audience. Former board members who had once resisted James's decisions now acknowledged him with a Davertine nod of comprehension. Victoria Chase, now happily remarried, brushed away her tears in the nostalgic embrace of their childhood treehouse, now a cherished historic landmark. The brothers had discovered one last Easter egg concealed within the original code of Tech Vision. It remained undiscovered for a bride. Staggering 15 years, my dear boys. If you are seeing this, you have already achieved more than I ever imagined possible, not due to what you've created, but because of the person you've evolved into. Keep in mind, the most intricate equation is love, the most challenging flaw to address is arrogance. True innovation lies in the power of kindness. The ideal code is kinship. I once believed my mark on the world would be a grand empire. Instead, it's 3 hearts pulsing in flawless harmony. 3 intellects tackling the most significant issues facing humanity. 3 spirits demonstrating that achievement devoid of affection is merely a mask defeat. Continue crafting your code. Continue to show your compassion. Continue to have faith, and keep in mind the strongest bond ever created is the love shared between brothers, always troubleshooting. Father Sarah settled in with them, gazing at the sun dipping below the horizon of Silicon Valley. The emblem of Tech Vision had continued to tower over the skyline, yet it now represented a deeper significance. The affection of a father, the insight of a mother. 3 brothers unite. True wealth is not counted in billions, but rather in the moments we cherish and the pointed lives we impact. Ethical lesson: at times, the most significant setbacks in life pave the way for our deepest triumphs. At times, our meticulously crafted strategies require a total overhaul. At A-Team times, the legacy we believe we are creating may not be the one that holds the greatest significance. Ultimately, the only message that holds real significance is the one inscribed within our hearts, the essence of love, family, and connection that transcends the limitations of any technological creation. That marked the culmination of James Mitchell's creative journey, his flawless code. 3 sons who realized that achievement devoid of affection is merely digits on a display, yet love without boundaries has the power to transform the world, and that's a program deserving of eternal execution.